Welcome, Steven Schwartz, alias or otherwise known as Dr. Steven Schwartz or Dr. V.I.B.E. Steven has offered to come on our podcast and share some powerful information about his V.I.B.E. technology. So let it rip. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Thank you, Freddie. So great to be here having an Australian podcast while I'm in Australia. You could have called me. I could have been in Los Angeles. I could have been in Tulum, Mexico, where I live, or anywhere else in the world. But the alignment of being here in the same continent, in the same country with you, really is very special. And this is my first Australian podcast I've ever done ever. So I feel really honored and blessed to be here with you, be able to share this information about the magic that I'm bringing and this medicine to your country.
Great. We have a mutual friend, JC, who was the causation of us hooking up and getting this happening. And I'm really excited to hear about the technology and a little bit about your journey as well. So maybe if we get the audience excited about the technology, and then we can weave in the journey so that they can understand how you got here, because you were sharing with me some interesting insights, how it's all starting to snowball and build, and how people are becoming aware of the technology. Because when you deal with technologies such as yours, they're avant-garde. They're not mainstream yet, but I believe they will be. So yeah, tell us a little bit about the technology.
So interesting that you brought that up about avant-garde and it's not mainstream yet. I can tell about the technology, but the weaving story of the journey is what creates the avant-garde journey to being mainstream. And the technology we're going to be talking about, they're called V.I.B.E.S. Repeat after me. Vibrational. Individualized. Body. Enhancement. Systems.
Whew.
So it's a vibe system. So for short, it's not a bed, it's not a couch, it's not a chair, it's not a mat. It's its own unique delivery system called a V.I.B.E.S system. It's an individualized body enhancement system. And what I designed it to do is for one very specific thing. For how do you clear cellular memory? How do you release shock and trauma out of the cells? How do you take the body into a place of optimal biochemistry for healing? And these are the questions that I asked myself really since 2004. And this delivery system, and people are probably listening to this, it's like, yeah, but what actually does it do? How does it actually work? And it kind of looks like a bed. It looks like either a massage table or like this ergonomic kind of device that you would lie on. But the thing is, it vibrates. And it's not it is a vibrating bed, but it's not like it's not massage. It's not, well, it is kind of like a massage, but really what it is it's music activated vibrational delivery system. And you can play any music you want through it. Yes. But what makes it special is that Bioharmonic Technologies, my music company, I founded in 2007 to create specific programs using sound and vibration mixed into these musical programs that we would vibrate into your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And through that specialized formulation, we're able to create specific biochemical responses for things like reducing inflammation, clearing shock and trauma, like great for PTSD, reducing things like attention deficit disorder, hyperactivity, depression, anxiety, bone and tissue regeneration, stem cell activation, emotional balancing. Also, we've created programs that you can envision the future. Like once you clear out all the junk, now what? Well, then you need to move forward and say, I want to envision what's the new dimensional reality I'm wanting to align myself with. And we have programs designed for that as well, too. So that's the high level concept of what we've created, the V.I.B.E.S system. And really where it came in, a little bit of background about myself. I'm a chiropractor by license. And really my journey began, I graduated chiropractic school in 1998 from New York Chiropractic College. in the United States. And I went to undergraduate school up in Boston, Massachusetts, and I studied sports medicine. So I was really involved with the body and the three-dimensional constructs of the body and sports injuries, and also human performance. That was really a big thing. That's why I went to chiropractic school in the first place. How do we optimize human performance? And really, after graduating, I ended up having a profound change, awakening. Basically, I had a spiritual awakening in 2000, where I got introduced to energy work, to bioenergetic work. And it was totally new for me. But what happened was I started learning about how to treat autoimmune diseases. These are things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome, rheumatoid arthritis. The list goes on and on. We learned about how to treat them using exclusively vibrational bioenergetic techniques. And you know what? It worked. It worked really well. And it was something totally not in my scope of understanding. But what I couldn't deny was the results. And as a doctor, as a scientist, as an analytical, and also as a creative artist, I said to myself, this is not me. This is not like Dr. Steven Schwartz being some kind of mystical. I am a mystical wizard. Okay, just for the record, I am a mystical wizard. But at the time, I didn't realize that. And it has nothing to do with me being a mystical wizard. There's actually a formulation at play that anybody can tap into and access the nervous system and reprogram the nervous system and optimize your immune system and reverse these very challenging conditions. And so I became obsessed with researching everything that had to do with energy. I started looking into the subconscious mind. I looked into like neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis. I looked into quantum physics. I started studying, obviously, microbiology. And then also I got into studying occult studies, because I said everything's energy. So I was looking into channeling and numerology and astrology and astrocartography and like really anything that I could get my hands on that was energetic, that my body was saying yes to, I was reading. And what I realized was there was a lot more like similarities than differences. It was all telling the same story. And also my understanding of being a chiropractor and being on an 8-year journey of education through the body, I saw how you could plug in to the nervous system and literally reprogram it just like a computer system. And that was in 2000. And then that continued on. I had an experience in 2004 when I met a shaman who took me down to Peru and opened every aspect of my being through some plant medicine experiences. And that was the first time that I had an experience with plant medicines, with ayahuasca, San Pedro, with also what I call vortex medicine, like Machu Picchu, all these things. But what I noticed was I had an experience about clearing my own personal cellular memory. And I came back, and not to get into all details, but I had an experience where I was like, wow, I'm different. It was like this before the journey, and now it's gone. And I said, why is that? And that took me into studying the anatomy and physiology of our cells and the constructs of intracellular fluid and the living connective tissue matrix. And that carried me through 2007 when I started experimenting with music. And in 2007, I said, well, what if, because I was asking myself, what is the ideal delivery system? What's the ideal delivery system that I can deliver information to the body to create optimal biochemistry? That was the question I asked myself. And I said, that's a good question, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I know that a lot of people.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are that my own experience has not as intense as yours, but parallel too. I've investigated those areas myself. I'm an NLP practitioner, and I've been interested in quantum physics. And one of my closest friends brought What the Bleep Do We Know to Australia all those years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, so I've been hooked up in that scene and circuit for a long time. I have a conservative side of me, and I have an avant-garde side to me. So from the avant-garde perspective, I make amazing discoveries. I was very skeptical of Reiki when I first experienced it. And then one of my close friends said, look, Freddie, I found it's the only thing that works for me. I'm going off to do a training. And I said, oh, why don't I come along with you and do a training of Reiki with you? And she laughed her head off. She said, you don't believe in it. And I said, you can't bag something you don't know about. I said, I'll do the training. It's only a couple $100. I'll come and do it with you. So I did Reiki 1, and then they did the upsell, and I went back and did Reiki 2. And lo and behold, I saw results. I got results, and my skepticism was laid to the side.
Perfect.
So when you talk about cellular release, that's exciting, because a lot of people say, oh, well, my memory, and they think that they only have one brain. They have a head brain, they have a heart brain, and they have a gut brain. And the memory is stored in their musculature. And at cellular level, we retain that trauma and those vortexes that are created in our first 7 years of imprint. So I'm quite aware that there are technologies. I think I mentioned to you on WhatsApp my exposure to the NES system, which is a vibrational system.
Yep.
And
NES.
Yeah, NES. And I've also been interested in holistic healing. And I haven't experienced the shamans or the ayahuasca, but because I am very, very, very sensitive from a spiritual, emotional, mental aspect, I don't like anything to rock the equilibrium. So I stay straight as an arrow. But, you know, if I want those experiences, I can call them up through natural ways, you know, like I go there. So I like to be as level and stable as I can. But the technology, to me, you know, binaural beats and things like that, and there's so many angles, and you have developed a technology that produces the cellular release from the stored memories and trauma, all those illnesses. It's exciting because I know a lot of people suffer from anxiety, but if they got their emotional brain to catch up, the anxiety is quite useful, because that means they're more attentive and they pay more attention. It's a little bit of OCD. And my daughter said, you don't have OCD, Dad, you've got CDO.
What's that?
OCD in alphabetical order.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was like, CDO, like, okay.
So, yeah, so let's hear some more about your journey. My thoughts on what you shared is I can see huge potential. I really can, because I think, what does it really cost you to venture out and try these things and experience them? It doesn't cost anything in perspective. It's going to be more harmful for you to be skeptic and not get involved. I mean, there's nothing invasive about the technology. And
well, I've been seeing patients. I mean, I spent 16 years in full-time clinical practice reversing the worst conditions. All the stuff that if you just go down, oh, there's no cure for that, or there's no, like, those are my conditions I treated. And I used to say to my patients is, you're stuck with me. Like, there's no medical cure. Like, the reason you're coming to me is because I'm the weird, wacky, voodoo, avant-garde doctor, and you're kind of stuck with me because you have no place else to go. Nothing else has worked. You spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on whatever, and you're flying down these roads and you're miserable. And so you throw your hands up in the air and you get referred to Dr. Schwartz's office. And next thing you know, like, we're getting you better. The only reason I have a job is because of the lack of response through traditional medicine or whatever else is going on. And I can tell you, as a young doctor, I just said to myself, wow, like, who am I? I remember saying, like, who am I to be treating these kind of patients? Like, aren't there more qualified doctors to be doing this? And yet they would see those doctors without results, and they would come to me. And one of my first mentors, Dr. Les Feinberg, who developed one of my primary techniques that I did called neuromodulation techniques. I remember I was taking the advanced training, and I said to him, I said, you know, I'm getting all these hard cases and I don't know what to do with them. And you know what he said? And, you know, it's simple, but he said, the universe only gives you what you can handle.
I like it.
And I said, you know what? I remember just breathing into that and saying, okay. And then people come in and they're like channeling all this stuff. And I'm like, I feel like I'm just receiving these messages from the other side, and it's just coming out of their mouths. And I would be in my treatment room, like I said, not being like I mean, I am a wizard. Okay. So I have to own the fact I'm a wizard, but I was doing a system on them. I was delivering a very specific A, B, C, D system. And you know what? I started training other doctors to do the system. And that's actually what's an interesting part of this journey is, okay, I'm going to sidetrack a little bit. You talked about the journey. In 2009, after I started making therapeutic music in 2007, I had a download that I was supposed to make this like bed to receive the frequencies, not through headphones or not through a speaker, but through vibrational resonance directed mechanically into the body. It was a download that I got, and I couldn't get it out of my mind. And I was driving, I was like 3 hours away from my home, and I was like, I can't get it out of my mind. I started sketching it, and I was like, I made these concept sketches when I got back to my home in Denver, Colorado. And not until years later in 2012 was I introduced to a gentleman that was actually making vibroacoustic sound beds, which was the vision that I had, even though I didn't know that was what it was called many years later. So the vision was that this is the true medicine of the future. And I literally walked away from my traditional practice, and it wasn't traditional, my regular day-to-day practice, to go down this road with these sound beds. And, you know, my dad was like, don't you want to do auto accidents? And I'm like, no, I don't want to treat auto accidents. This is the chiropractor. Like, no, are you still doing the bed thing? I'm still doing the bed thing, you know? But what has come about since really 2020 has been an explosion of new earth medicine. We've gone through a portal as a planet that has happened since 2020, and COVID is a symptom of, not the cause of, but a portal of planetary realignment, secondary effect of this planet hitting a point of critical mass that has opened up a global raise in planetary energetic consciousness and energetic expansion. And the things that were working pre-COVID, just, we can't go back.
It's interesting. It's interesting you should say that, because I noticed myself, I don't know what to put it down to, but I've gone through a transition myself, a step up of consciousness in the last 2 or 3 years. I was, my tachometer was in the red, helping people through the crisis of COVID. We were in the worst lockdown city in the world in Melbourne, and it was draconian and it was horrible. And there was lots of suicides, marriage breakdowns, job losses, family divorces. And my counseling went through the roof, you know, and I did all the COVID counseling for free. I didn't charge anybody anything, because I just realized we were in a crisis and people were desperate, and that was like shell shocked. And I think, you know, with the advent of this new technology, people have to investigate this. They have to get free of their trauma. I've been sent a lot of the hard cases to deal with as well. People say, good luck with that. You know, exactly. Tell them who I'm helping and what the dilemma is. And some of these people have had long-term alcoholism for 30, 40, 50 years, and they're no longer alcoholics. And there are many ways for people to get out of that. But when you realize, when someone goes to a traditional doctor, the clock starts ticking and the wallet comes out, you know. And someone said, I went to the dentist today, and I said, oh, what did you have? And they said, oh, I had an extraction. I said, oh, really? Which tooth? And they said, no, my wallet. Right. So the cost, the commitment, and they go to the doctor and he says, well, come back in 2 weeks, take these pills, because they're always mainly dealing with effect rather than cause. That's exactly. That's a tragedy, masking symptoms and things like that. And no lifestyle changes, so therefore there's a continuance of the ailments. And some of these people, I've sat till 10 hours in one session, all day and all night, bringing them through their dilemma and their crisis. And someone said, why do you do it? And I said, well, where on earth is this person going to get this attention that they need? They've been through the system, and the system makes them sit in a waiting room, sees them for an hour, and throws them out and says, come back next week, and everything that they build up or work through is gone. So you've got a system there that looks like it can process a lot more people a lot quicker, which is great. That's why I started the podcast, so I could leverage what I do. I was an international life coach and traveled the world, and I went and saw people in different countries face to face, often at my own expense, to deliver them from their situation. Sometimes I have to spend 4 or 5 days, but there's a technology you can get on a bed and people can start to feel immediate results. That's exciting.
Well, let's take you through the journey, okay? I'm a chiropractor, one-on-one. Come see me, lay down on my table, crack, adjust, one-on-one. You can only see so many people in a day and in an hour and in a week, okay? And then I'm sensitive to energy, so I can't just, you know, this is my window. I was capped out at, like, you know, whatever. I'm not gonna tell me about it. I saw like 15 people a day at my peak, like maybe 3.5. So 40, whatever, 15, about 45, 60 patients a week.
Wow.
Um, but that was like at 30-minute sessions, like at 20 to an hour, you know, and that's actually low for chiropractic, but that was what I was doing with the energy work. So we were cranking, but then I started developing these biofeedback systems, and I became the national, like similar to the Nest system. I developed my own $30,000 biofeedback system, and I was training doctors. So next thing I know, I was now, oh, and wait, there was a step there. Then I hired associates to do what I was doing. So then it was myself plus the associates. Then I started developing these biofeedback systems, and then I was training doctors, and then they were taking this system and putting it into their practices, and then they were able to see me, but through them. And what was really beautiful about that was the doctors were busy doing whatever they were doing, but their front desk staff, they all want to be healers, but they might not have went to school for it, but they have like a heart of a healer. They care about people, and that's why they want to work at the front desk. Now we would train their front desk to do these biofeedback systems, and now and anybody could do it because it's a process, not a skill. And so now they were healing people, and then we were creating healers out of non-trained people, and now they were delivering healing to the world. And then I started developing these vibrational sound beds, and now we go right to the end user. And now the end user, instead, you don't need to go to a practitioner. You can go directly to yourself and heal yourself. But now there's an interesting eclipse happening. The end user is now empowered, and now they become the practitioner because they're sharing this technology with their loved ones, with their communities, and then they're opening up centers and then expanding it out. So it's this ripple effect. And I'm here in Noosa. We were just in Sunshine Beach. Since we spent the night in Sunshine Beach, woke up at 5:30 in the morning, and did a beautiful beach walk and hike with some of my new friends. I'm traveling with my friend Corinne with her friends, and they're both coaches. One is a brilliant author. She's written 6 amazing books I'm excited to read. And then Peter is also like a human optimization coach, and he's like, I see like 4 to 6 people in a day, but he's limited, and he works like 3 days a week, and he's limited by that. And he's like, do you still see one-on-one patients? And I said, I'm global, and people are coming in. And I told him the main reason I don't see one-on-one patients is I don't have the energetic capacity to hold space to see somebody starting here and taking them through the entire journey. And that's the only way that I will work on somebody one-on-one, because if we start, I'm taking you to the end.
That's it.
That's how I work. And if I can't take you to the end, and I'm the one that's the pillar that's going to hold space for you, if you're wobbling all the way through, I'm that one that needs to hold space. If I can't do that, then it's not going to work. So what's great about the V.I.B.E.S system is that's that system. It's in your living room, it's in your center, it's in your bedroom, it's in your basement, it's in your biohacking center, it's in your spa. And all you have to do is, can you put headphones on? Can you put an eye pillow over your eyes? Can you set an intention? Can you pick from an app that has a program that's aligned to that intention? Can you take a deep breath in and can you not be on your phone for 20 minutes a day and let the portal open? Change your vibe, change your life. And where it's not and you talked about binaural beats. We have binaural beats, but binaural beats is just one ingredient, because what are the binaural beats? And for those of you that are listening, that's saying, what's a binaural beat? Just to define what a binaural beat is, what you do is you take one frequency, it could be 1 hertz, and then you could take another frequency, it could be 3 hertz, and you layer and you play them together, and the difference between 1 hertz comes out is like 2 hertz in the middle. And now you're receiving 2 hertz. And because of that overlap, you get this brain synchronization. That's essentially, now the cool thing is that you can make these really cool stems with we were experimenting with solfeggio. I'm not going to get into it. We're experimenting with all these different cool stems with the difference. But now you get the energy of all that, and you can use the brain. But the issue, what I think is so fascinating, is people get stuck in the brain. And the nervous system is so much more than the brain. The brain is simply the relay station. Like, what about the other 90%? There's something that I like to refer, well, I don't like to refer to it. There's a crucial part of the nervous system that develops during embryology. It's called the ectodermal tissue, or the ectoderm. You guys can Google this. ECTODERM, ectoderm. And what that does is that is the neurological, that is the material that forms your brain, your spinal cord, all your nerves, your peripheral nerves, your cranial nerves, your nerves in your gut, your autonomic nervous system, and it also creates your skin. And that collective is called the ectoderm. And the cool thing about it is it all responds exactly the same to the same input. So if you're going to do like that tissue is what you're accessing when you do hypnotherapy. Great. But what about not the brain? What about the living connective tissue matrix? What about the skin? What about these other things? So now you can pull in all ectodermal tissues, which is what the V.I.B.E.S system's doing, and program very specific formulations. And you are now you're taking the body into parasympathetic. You're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. And for those of you listening are like, what's the parasympathetic nervous system? It's what creates rest and regeneration. They say rest and repose, rest and digest, rest and regeneration. And here's the interesting thing. Anybody that's listening to this that is sick or ill or managing a condition that is not getting better, I can promise you that you are stuck in another process known as sympathetic nervous system activation. And that is fight or flight, which is like, you're on guard. Your nervous system is like hyper, like this, and it can't relax. And in that state, your biochemistry is not optimized for healing, period. So if you're doing ice baths, if you're doing infrared sauna, if you're doing stem cells therapy, if you're doing insert the blank, anything, if your body is not in parasympathetic, the results you're getting are less than ideal. So the paramount first step for any healing journey is to find parasympathetic. And there's a miraculous thing that happens in that space. Your body has an innate understanding to go into, and you said about this earlier, Freddie, about how you just want to be in balance and equilibrium. Your body, when you go into parasympathetic, automatically is neurologically, primal, evolutionarily programmed to shift into parasympathetic. Into homeostasis or into balance. Now, it might be a journey. You might not just go right into it. It might be these little steps because you're going to be more here than here. But this technology, at the very minimum, even if you don't want to know, it puts you into parasympathetic, and the innate programming begins to bring your body into equilibrium. And in that state, your body just begins to heal naturally, passively, optimally. And that's the beautiful thing about this technology. It's anybody can do it.
Well, I noticed through the stimulation of the vagus nerve, when people are dealing with parasympathetic and sympathetic and autonomic nervous systems, they don't realize that they're in a constant anxiety and stress. They're in that fight or flight mode most of the time. And anything that will pull them out of that. So they say meditation. The amount of people say, I don't know how to meditate. I can't meditate. And I say to somebody, do you ever put your iPhone on charge? Yeah. Or I said, that's meditation. Just go down and sit down and recharge. I don't care if you see 6 Buddhas or you see nothing, or you just sit there, just be still for 5 minutes with you, like just unplug for a second. And I'm teaching people how to be still. Just be still. So if you be still for 5 minutes, it's a start. Because when you see the blue sky up there and you see the clouds, they're your thoughts. Don't engage in them, watch them. Don't engage in them, watch them. Oh, but I can't, it's so busy. And I said, is it one continuous stream of clouds, or is it clouds moving across? Oh, it's clouds moving across. I said, see the little spaces in between the clouds? That's meditation. Just see if you can widen it and expand it. So
you brought up something. There was something interesting you said before. I think we started this podcast, or in the beginning of it, you talked about your mate. I like using Australian lingo, by the way. You talked about your mate that brought What the Bleep Do We Know movie, to Australia. Well, a couple of synchronicities about that. The world famous Joe Dispenza made his world debut in that movie, and also Dr. Emoto Messages in the Water, they made their debut. That was 2004. That was
right.
20 years ago. And that movie was debuted here. And I think what Dr. Joe Dispenza's major contribution is really empowering people to meditate. And you know what the thing is, I want you to meditate. Okay, I'm meditating. The people that need to meditate the most are the people that can't meditate. And so it's hard. Like, okay, and you're like, can you take 30 seconds? Can you just not think for a minute? Can you give me a minute?
A minute. Can you give me a minute?
Like, whatever, give me 1 minute. Like, stop. Like, look at those clouds and stop thinking. Okay. And they can't even do it. So like, that's what's great about this technology is, can you just feel it? It pulls you in to an entrained hypnotic relaxed space. You can't not do it. It's impossible. It's impossible. And then because you have an eye pillow on, you have headphones on, your phone is not in your pocket. It's over on the table or whatever. It's on the ground, but you're not checking your phone for, you got 20, 15 minutes. Start with 7 minutes. If you're that tied to your phone, can you give me 7 minutes? We have a program for 7 minutes. Like, can you give me 7 minutes? Like, I'll take what I can get. But what's interesting is I'm here in Australia debuting the first movie that I'm in. And we're going to be debuting it on Friday at the Embodying Psychedelia conference that's in Mount Tamborine. And I'm not sure, this podcast is probably going to happen after this is over, I'm assuming. But that's why I'm here in Australia. And we're going to be debuting my movie, first time in Australia. It's called Beyond Physical Matter. And it is a movie about quantum healing and consciousness. And they're saying that it is the new Earth secret, or the new Earth, what to believe do we know, for the new millennium. And as myself and 15 other amazing quantum cast members, and we're going to be, I was here, like I said, you saw Corinne, my friend Corinne is here earlier. We hosted a virtual red carpet unveiling of the movie. And it was on the 9th of March, and I was here in Australia. So I had this really beautiful apartment in the W Hotel in Darling Harbour in downtown Sydney. And we did a whole watch party, basically her and I, and then we had a panel with all the cast members after. So we're going to now be making the official first time screening on Friday in Mount Tamborine at the Shambhala Estate at this retreat called Embodying Psychedelia. And if any of you are in the area and want to come, then please reach out to me or look it up online and Facebook. But if it's after the fact, please, you can go on. It's going to be on Amazon Prime and all the streaming channels. You can just look into Beyond Physical Matter. And I've seen it now twice. And every time, it's one of those movies that it just becomes you're capturing more information every time you see it. And I'm a quantum expert. And there was things on there that I heard that really like influenced me just by listening to some of my other team cast members. And we saw it actually in the movie theater. And then we did the red carpet, and all of us were talking like more about what we picked up on that we didn't see the second time. So it's one of those movies you could probably watch 20 times and get something new out of it every time. So I'm inviting you, Freddie, and all your 19,000 followers to check out our movie here. It's a global movement of how to expand consciousness in this new Earth. And you know what really is the underlying theme that everybody keeps talking about? Cellular memory. And I wrote a book. If I haven't noticed, if I haven't plugged my book, there's a book called, my book is called Primal Resonance. Resonance, like resonant frequency. Primal Resonance. Primal Resonance, the secrets to health, vitality, and optimal human performance. And it talks about the top 10 ways on how to reverse aging and degeneration using sound, light, frequency, and vibration.
Wow.
And it's available on Amazon also. I literally have 2 of these books here in Australia with me for this event. But I invite you to pick up this book, and it's more relevant now than when I wrote it in 2014. It was released in 2015, and it talks about chronic systemic inflammation, and it'll change your life or your money back, guaranteed. Money back guaranteed. That's how profound this book is. And really my intention was that I wanted to sell 10 million books, or at least get 10 million books out to the world, because I know that when 10 million books are in the world, we've changed the collective consciousness of this information, and it's vitally important. And it talks about how to optimize biochemistry through bioresonance and through optimal neurological cellular communication. And this is what hasn't been talking about, and this is the next phase of human physiology and really of medicine. And Einstein says that the future of medicine is frequency medicine, but the cool thing is that the medicine of the future is now. We're living in it now. This is the future. The future is right now, and it is frequency medicine. And I'm inviting you, Freddie, and all of your listeners to explore and be open to what frequency medicine can you participate in to change your vibe and to change your life.
Well, what I would like to suggest is that we get all your social media links and your movie links, and we put them in the description, because it'll take about 2 weeks to go through the cycle to get this up.
Sure.
But I might see if I can get a snippet of this or do something separate with you just to promote this, maybe a 3-minute caption.
Okay.
And that 3-minute caption I can throw straight up onto my Facebook straight away. I've got 5,000 people on Facebook. I've got 3.5 on LinkedIn. I can do Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter with a 3-minute scenario saying that the podcast is yet to follow, but they can at least get some insights where you are, what you're doing, and maybe get some more people to that conference for you.
That sounds amazing.
I'm headed up to Queensland myself on Saturday, but unfortunately I'm pre-committed. I'm going up there to help somebody who's in crisis at the moment, so I'm going to spend a couple of days sorting that out for them.
Bring them to the conference. There's going to be a lot of amazing healers there. I think they're expecting 350 people. It's the second annual, the second one they're doing. And I haven't been here before.
The conference is Saturday and Sunday?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And I'm speaking on Sunday, actually. It's Sunday afternoon. So I'm one of the headliners that's going to be there. And if you're interested, let me know and see what we could do. But I really appreciate this opportunity to share my message with you, Freddie, and your community. And so I'll just share, if you're on Instagram, you can find me at Dr. V.I.B.E, V-I-B-E, Dr. V.I.B.E. And Bioharmonic Technologies is my Instagram, BIOHARMONIC_technologies, IES. And our website is bioharmonictechnologies.com. And I am on LinkedIn. I don't really check my LinkedIn all that much. The best way is through Instagram. And, but we're here to raise the vibration of the planet and harmonize humanity.
Well, what I'd love to do is get you back again sometime in the future and maybe talk about a few of the case studies and people you've worked on, and other things that you thought, oh, I wish I said that, and maybe we could have said this and that. But right now,
let me ask you. Let me end with one.
Okay.
May I end with one?
Yes, please do.
So I'm here I was staying in Bondi Beach. I was staying in Bondi Beach, and a friend of mine introduced me to one of his friends, and they came over and they wanted the vibe. And his partner is a sound healer, and they're like, "Oh, I want to experience the vibe." I didn't know anything about him. And after the fact, I ended up finding out that he's been dealing with chronic fatigue, really for the last 6 years. But he said that he's been like sick his entire life. And he's tried, this is the typical story. He's tried everything. He's paid all this money and nothing. And I'm sitting there like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen here. So we put him on the Vibe, and this is on our Instagram page. So if you guys go to Bioharmonic Technologies, you'll see it right on our main page. But really, he ended up doing a 15-minute energy clearing session, and next thing you know, he had a profound change. He said he started seeing the root cause to all of his trauma, and he was able to go in and like clear it. He said it was like having a psychedelic experience, healing without taking the psychedelics.
That appeals to me.
Yeah. And then his partner went on, and she listened to the exact opposite program. She listened to a program called Abundance, which is like a 15-minute beta brainwave state, active, like, can I swear?
Yeah.
F yes kind of dance party.
That's E-double-F.
Yes, exactly. and experience. and she came off like super fired up, kind of like a Tony Robbins cellular virtual reality experience. And then he went back on the Vibe. He's like, can I do this again? And we're like, what to listen to? And his intuition was like, go do the same track again. And this is the most profound thing. He said that he felt very empowered to make a decision for his own personal healing, because he's always giving away his power to other practitioners and their healing. And I said that link of feeling self-empowered is the number one, one of the number one top features of the Vibe system, because it's a self-empowerment tool. Don't ask Dr. Schwartz what's right for you. You know what's right for you. And if you don't know what is right for you, that's the journey.
That gives me goosebumps. I've been over the Niagara Falls in a bucket, and I've suffered in my life. And it's when I took hold of my own healing and become my own practitioner that it all worked out. And for years, I was giving my power away to practitioners and seeking this and going on pilgrimages and all sorts of things until I took absolute control of my own destiny and my own outcomes. And the healing was radical. It was huge. It was quick. It was vibrant. And it was long lasting. So, yeah, look, for you, for the people out there watching, thank you for your time. And I hope that you really get into what Dr. Steven Schwartz has for you. There'll be links in the description to the things he's mentioned so that you can find him easily, because it's always hard to remember or write notes down while you're talking. Don't forget to ring the bell and subscribe. And thank you so much for your precious time. Really appreciate it. And I hope we can do some more.
Thank you, Freddie.
Pleasure.